One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on the news. I'm Hebet Mutabi and our sign language interpreter is Pastor Samson Mwale. We take a look at the top stories in the news. Construction of the 450 million United States dollars Kafalafuta Dam has started. Chief Kaputa of the Tawa people of Kaputa district has called for increased budgetary allocation towards the construction of roads in remote areas of the country. Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA employees were this morning locked out at the headquarters for reporting late. In sports, football analyst Ruben Kamanga says that the Zambia national football team still has a chance to qualify to the World Cup. Join us shortly for details of the news after this break. Here now is the news in detail. Construction of the 450 million United States dollars Kafalafuta Dam has kicked off. The Kafalafuta Dam project is being built under the Kafubu Water and Sanitation Improvement Project and is funded by the Danish government through Danida. The project is expected to create part of the 10,000 jobs which President Edgar Lungu announced last year as part of his plan to offer job opportunities on the Copper Belt. Livingstone Central Member of Parliament Matthews Ajere says that there is need to turn Livingstone's tourism sector into a tax-free zone to attract more investment. Details in this report.
Stakeholders have continued to highlight some solutions that will help rejuvenate the tourism industry in the country. Livingstone stands as the main focus because of its status as the tourist capital of Zambia and tourism being a major employer. The new Member of Parliament for Livingstone, Matthews Ajere, feels giving the tourist capital a tax-free zone status will attract more investment to the sector.
Livingstone, probably I wish to state that it used to be a capital city of Zambia. That was taken away from us. At one point also recently, it was the provincial headquarters of Southern Province. That has been taken away from us. What has remained now is the tourism sector. So we will need to work towards that so that Livingstone can be declared probably a tax-free zone so that a lot of people can come and invest so as to create employment for our youth.
The Livingstone Tourism Association LTA says the private sector is also concerned with the high corporate tax in the sector.
The biggest challenge at the moment what we're facing is these taxes, the higher taxes which are being paid, which we're saying if people have to invest, for example, into tourism in Livingstone, at the moment the corporate tax is 35%. I mean, we are saying that is too high for anybody to come and invest in tourism. Why don't they put us at least somewhere, maybe 15% like agriculture or probably 10%?
LTA chairperson Alexander Mutali also says different stakeholders in the tourism industry are optimistic of improved budgetary allocation to the sector.
What the Minister of Finance should think about is moving the tourism agenda by opening, make money available to open. I know money is a big problem in Zambia at the moment, but if we were to open the circuits so that we make sure the northern and the southern circuits more or less let it, and it can only be done by actually because the government, so the money is limited. It can only be done by removing the corporate tax so that people, only the private sector can invest in these areas.
It has been said, with good investment, tourism has the potential to drive the economy of any country. Angela Limwanya, ZNBC News in Livingstone.
Chief Kaputa of the Tabwa people of Kaputa district has called for increased budgetary allocation towards the construction of roads in remote areas of the country. Chief Kaputa says the government should, in the 2017 national budget, consider constructing roads in his chiefdom, a development which he says would trigger more investment in the area. Chief Kaputa added that there is also need to mechanize farming in rural communities. The traditional leader was speaking in an interview with ZNBC News in Lusaka today.
Using enough crop, okay, because we are basically using the old method of cultivating, using a hoe, and with a hoe you can't do much. To do an area of the size of an hectare, it takes quite a long time. We would want to go to a level where we use equipment like tractors, you know, to be mechanized. And in our own efforts now, and even through the efforts of government, that's the direction that we are taking. We've secured some equipment through the Ministry of Gender, but through also our own efforts as a royal establishment, we're making efforts to acquire more tractors, which we can use at community level.
Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA employees were this morning locked out at the headquarters for reporting late, and ZRA Commissioner General Kingsley Chanda has issued a stern warning to employees over late reporting for work. Max Ligone reports.
Around the Commissioner General is saying he wants to address us on the need for us to come in good time.
They are not job seekers. They are Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA employees who have been locked out at the headquarters for reporting late. The employees arrived to a surprise after realizing that all gates leading the offices were locked at about 08:15 hours. Some employees talked to declined to comment on the matter as they waited to be addressed by the ZRA Commissioner General, Kingsley Chanda. What time will you hear?
No comment, no comment.
After waiting for about 30 minutes, the employees were let in and they were addressed by the Commissioner General.
I did write to all of you that things must change. And I was not joking. I was serious. If you feel you can report for work anytime, you feel you can knock off anytime you want, please, the door is open. Resign.
Mr. Chanda wants the employees to be punctual and committed to their duties.
And most of you are very, very senior members of staff, very critical to the running of this institution. If you come late, and you know the business community is complaining about the attitude of ZRA officers. Not just towards taxpayers, but even towards your own work, something that is keeping your families going.
According to the union representative, the development serves as a lesson to the employees.
So it's not easy, even, you know, in Lusaka, there is also the issue of traffic.
If there is traffic, why don't you wake up early?
Yes, you can do that. And let's say you can do that, you put that allowance of fighting the commotion of traffic. Have you seen where the back our car park is situated, the distance? From there, coming here, you can even take over 5 minutes. There is even the issue of crossing like that. But at least if they can give you an allowance.
But does this serve as a lesson?
Okay, it's a lesson. And to all employees, I'm sure now they have noticed that they should even increase their allowance to start off. It's a lesson. It has been noted.
The ZRA Commissioner General says he will continue implementing measures like this to improve the operations of the authority. Mark Ziligone, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
Government has urged the church to continue preaching peace and unity to foster reconciliation in the country. Kitwe District Commissioner Chanda Kabwe says elections should not divide the nation and urged the church to play a leading role in uniting and healing the country. Mr. Kabwe says Zambians are in dire need of development which can only come and be sustained if the nation is united. He was speaking during Bishop Sidney Chirima's farewell service as Copperbelt Presbytery Bishop at Ndeke Congregation in Kitwe. And United Church of Zambia Synod Bishop Sidney Chirima said Zambians must come together regardless of their political affiliation and push one agenda based on unity. Bishop Chirima said it is critical for Zambians to continue the philosophy of one Zambia, one nation for continued peace and unity. Bishop Chirima, who is now at the helm of the UCZ Church, has handed over the Copperbelt mantle to Reverend Chipasha Musaba of St. Margaret's Congregation in Kitwe. You're watching ZNBC Main Evening News. We take a break. Stay tuned. We continue with the news. First Lady Esther Lungu has advised the young girls to report any incidences of abuse encountered in their daily lives. The First Lady was speaking in Rufunsa when she addressed pupils from Rufunsa Technical School. Ruth Mwale reports.
The eager wait for the arrival of First Lady Esther Lungu in Rufunsa district, where she was on her outreach programs. These are pupils from the recently opened Rufunsa Technical Secondary School. And the reason is simple. Mrs. Lungu did not hesitate to share a word with the girls that had gathered at the school grounds.
For whatever you want to become, education is key. Marriage also comes after education. Before education, no marriage. Report all incidences of defilement, abuse by your parents, by the society, people in the community, by the school teachers also. But I know the school teachers have been good of late. Yes. You recommend them.
And following the sentiments from the First Lady, the pupils said they will ensure that they work at completing school and contributing to national development.
Us, we who are young children, we're supposed to work hard because we're the future leaders of Zambia. Without us, the Zambia cannot be improved.
The First Lady told us she's encouraged us to study hard, concentrate in school, and not getting involved in early marriages.
Mrs. Lungu also took time to meet with the staff at the school.
Your presence has motivated the girl child outside there. They were so excited when they learned that we are going to come here. And then I would also want to thank the government for considering bringing a technical secondary school for girls in our district. We are so proud of that. However, we have the challenge of power. We live on the genset and we economize the usage. So since our dream is to produce 100% pass, it becomes difficult for children to continue studying when the power is off.
For Mrs. Lungu, all that she wants is to see young girls growing up into responsible citizens that contribute to the development of the country.
I really want to make sure that the girls received all the necessities in order for them to excel in their education. It is in me to see that the girl child goes as high as the sky, although the other girls that have gone into piloting now are saying not even the sky is the limit. Yeah, because they can go up to the skies.
Rufunsa Secondary School was opened in 2013 and has 367 pupils enrolled at the institution. Ruth Mwale, ZNBC News, Rufunsa.
Teaching Council of Zambia says it has received in excess of 52,000 applications for the ongoing teachers registration exercise. Teaching Council of Zambia Registrar Ebi Mubanga says all teachers are expected to submit their applications by November 30th, 2016. Dr. Mubanga has also issued a stern warning to impersonators of the Teaching Council of Zambia who have been issuing misleading information to the public on the registration process. He was speaking in an interview with ZNBC News in Lusaka.
course regarding the registration process of teachers, and as we speak now, I can confidently report that an excess of 52,000 teachers have so far submitted their applications for teacher registration, and this is exciting. Of course, we know there are other teachers that have not yet taken the step, but we hope by 30th November every teacher will have submitted their credentials to prepare us for their registration. Then I also wish to indicate that anytime soon, the Teaching Council of Zambia teams will be going around districts to collect the submitted application forms, because as we speak, application forms at District Education Board Secretaries' offices are waiting collection by the team from the Teaching Council of Zambia. I also wish to maybe make this indication that members of the public should desist from consuming information submitted by other people impersonating the Teaching Council of Zambia. For example, regarding the deadlines and other pieces of information, some people are attempting to create a situation to say the Teaching Council is communicating this. For example, somebody has created a Facebook page for the Teaching Council of Zambia, which is not coming from us. The Teaching Council has its
Youth Network Zambia President Higriffs Chansa has urged the government to construct skills training centers across the country. Mr. Chansa says this will help the youth to acquire skills that are key to national development. He says that there is also need to come up with long-term empowerment plans for young people. He said this when he featured on TV2's Morning Live today.
Revive the plans to create a national youth bank, because which we still believe that through that I think young people have access to fund in terms of now supporting their projects. Secondly, we are believing that by creation of these youth skills centers in district, it will culminate into massive boom in as far as meaningful participation of the young people in development, because we are going to see carpentry, we are going to see bricklaying, and I think we've seen that there's this creation of district. If we create these skill centers, then we shall see more participation of the young people, creating more cooperatives and participate in the different entrepreneurs.
We take another commercial break. Stay tuned. Thank you for still watching ZNBC Main Evening News. The Clinton Health Access Initiative Chai has handed over a newly built student hostel to Mansa School of Nursing and Midwifery. Chai Senior Program Manager Emily Measures says that the 96-bed space capacity hostel will create a conducive learning environment for trainee health workers. Ms. Measures also says the organization will continue working with the government to reduce infant mortality rates in rural areas. And Luapula Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Joyce Nsamba says that the hostels will create a conducive learning environment. And Mrs. Nsamba says it is impossible to provide a quality training for health workers without adequate infrastructure.
Chai has been working through the government of Zambia and the Ministry of Health to reduce maternal and child mortality by increasing the number of nurses and midwives in rural areas in Zambia. Chai is grateful for the funding support from the Swedish government, which enabled us to construct the 2 48-bed hostels and extend the skills lab, following the recommendations of the National Training Operational Plan. It is our hope that this initiative will lead to improvements in the quality and quantity of nurses and midwives in the rural areas in Zambia.
I'm really humbled to receive this kind of project. I'm sure all of us are aware that we lack space, and that's why we are not able to train a lot of nurses. We need a lot of nurses in the rural areas, so this gesture is just welcome to Luapula, and we are really, really grateful. So my appeal even to the other cooperating partners is to continue supporting us in this kind of gesture.
Acting Livingstone District Commissioner Harriet Kawina says it is impossible to achieve a development in the absence of a healthy citizenry. Ms. Kawina said this in Livingstone during the commemoration of the World Mental Health Day, whose theme is psychological first aid. Justin Akakulubero has details in the following report.
Livingstone has today joined the rest of the globe in commemorating the World Mental Health Day. Acting Livingstone District Commissioner Harriet Kawina graced the event and highlighted the link between mental health and development.
I believe that it is impossible to achieve any development in a society in the absence of health for all groups, especially those which experience injustices and violation of human rights.
Other speakers called for the scaling up of mitigation measures.
There is a rise in number of mental cases almost everywhere. And most of those, they are not so sick, such that they need hospital care. All they need is the psychological care that we can give them at home.
May I appeal to the government and the stakeholders to prove and embarking environment so that psychological first aid is a reality.
Here are some of the ways we can provide the first aid. Closure of all illegal bars and alcohol outlets in our communities. If you have observed, we have got too many of these, then maybe we have other social amenities.
As an office, we intend to draw up a program where we shall do the following. The first one is bring out information, education, communication materials where we will teach communities against gender-based violence. The second one, go around schools to teach youths against alcohol and drug abuse and advantages of staying in school and the proper and beneficial use of internet.
And the networks of people living with disabilities, Livingstone chapter wants information on mental health to be put in Braille.
I know that to print this information into Braille at least, it is still very expensive as well to do it at the district level. But we appeal that an effort be made to ensure that whatever efforts you are making to cater for Livingstone citizens, it takes into account all people, including people with disabilities.
World Mental Health Day is observed on October 10 every year to raise awareness on mental health issues, especially that every human being is a potential mental patient. Justin Akakulubelwa, ZNBC News, Livingstone.
We now present agriculture news. On the segment tonight, a government has challenged researchers and farmers to maintain and sustain the production level of cassava in light of the increasing demand for the crop and its products. Join us for details of that story after this commercial. Government has challenged researchers and farmers to maintain and sustain the production levels of cassava in light of the increasing demand for the crop and its products. In a speech read on his behalf by Zambia Agriculture Research Institute Director Moses Mali, Mr. Shawa said the interactions from the various stakeholders will help evaluate the challenges and disease threats in the cassava industry. Naiz has more in this report.
A strategic crop for millions of people in Africa. The demand for cassava products as critical raw material in industries is increasing. However, the crop, like any other, is being affected by a number of diseases, causing a huge loss to farmers, especially small scale. This has led to the implementation of the Cassava Virus Diagnostics Project under Zambia Agriculture Research Institute ZARI to provide free cassava planting material to farmers.
Cassava Disease Diagnostic Project was launched in 2008 in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, to build a regional capacity among us to sustainably manage cassava mosaic disease and cassava brown streak and their associated vectors.
In a speech read on his behalf by ZARI Director Moses Mwale, Agriculture Permanent Secretary Julius Shawa says the cassava industry has been affected due to lack of an established clean seed system. He notes that government through the Ministry of Agriculture will welcome innovative research and development to address the pandemic.
Research information generated by the project is already being utilized by stakeholders and most importantly, the breeders in developing mechanisms to combat the cassava mosaic and cassava brown streak diseases. These efforts will significantly assist in reducing the disease burden in the cassava subsector. In this regard, my government will continue to support the establishment of a decentralized and sustainable production and deployment of disease-free cassava planting materials.
He urged researchers to intensify their efforts and mitigate the imminent threats of the disease. Dorcas Chaba, Nice, Lusaka.
That is our segment could accommodate for tonight. Be sure to join us for more agriculture news next week. Minister of Sports Moses Mawere says the continuous grooming of new players to the national team is the only remedy for positive results. And Mawere says yesterday's Zambia-Nigeria World Cup qualifier loss at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium is a wake-up call for the nation not to always rely on the same players. Mawere has however urged soccer fans across the country not to be discouraged by yesterday's 2-1 defeat at the hands of the visiting Super Eagles. He was speaking when he called on Kitwe District Commissioner Chandakabwe at his office this afternoon. And Kitwe District Commissioner Chandakabwe appealed to the minister to consider increasing funding under the Youth Empowerment Program to the district. Mawere is on the Copper Belt to check on progress on the construction of youth resource centers in Chililabombwe, Luansha and Mpongwe. Football analyst Ruben Kamanga says the Zambia national football team still has a chance to qualify to the World Cup. Kamanga says what is needed is for the team to work on mistakes exposed yesterday. He however says that the Zambian defense needs to be reinforced. Kamanga says Zambia should work at getting the maximum points from the remaining games. He said this when he featured on TV2's Morning Live program.
We know that defensively we can do with one very good addition. We know that we need a better option in the middle of the park to anchor the midfield. We know now that we can, play with very offensive players. We know who can score. We know who can come to the party. I think it's important that we discovered this in the first game. Like the president said, there are still 15 points to collect. We should not lose hope. We should not give up.
We are comforting ourselves, Ruben.
We should, and there's no reason not to, because I think there's a huge opportunity. There's 15 points to collect. What Nigeria did in Indola, we can go and do that in Lagos.
We are failing to win games at home, and you are drawing games against Kenya. How do you then hope to beat big teams like Nigeria, Cameroon, Algeria?
I hope you watch the game, which was a game of two halves. They took advantage of the chances they created in the first half. We then went into the second half and created a number of chances, which could.
Lusaka was packed with sports activities over the weekend. Tambuyo Katota looks at some sports disciplines that took place over the weekend in this report.
Lusaka rugby fans were treated to an exciting game, which saw Green Buffaloes Rugby Club carry the day against the Lusaka Rugby Club. Green Buffaloes won by 13 tries to 10. This was in the Zambia Rugby Union Week 14 rescheduled game. In another sport, Kanyama Gym hosted the 2016 Mr. Kanyama Championship. At the event, Robbie Mnyenyemba was crowned winner. And in the FAZ MTN Super League, Nakambala Leopards lost 1-0 to Lusaka Dynamos in Mazabuka. While in Choma, Kitwe Giants Power Dynamos lost 1-0 to Green Eagles. Meanwhile, in Dola, Zambia played her first game of its Group B 2018 Russia World Cup qualifiers against Nigeria and lost 2-1. Etambuyu Katota, ZNBC Sports, Lusaka.
And as we end the news, we take a look at the top stories again. Construction of the 450 million United States dollars Kafula Dam has started. Chief Kaputa of the Tabwa People of Kaputa District has called for increased budgetary allocation towards the construction of roads in remote areas of the country. Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA employees were this morning locked out at the headquarters for reporting late. And finally in sports, a football analyst Ruben Kamanga says the Zambia national football team still has a chance to qualify to the World Cup. On that sports note, we come to the end of the news. We'd like to thank you so much for your time. On behalf of our sign language interpreter, Pastor Samson Mwali, and the entire news production team, will be back with another bulletin later this evening at 22 hours. Until then, I'm Hebert Mutabi. Thank you for watching. Good night for now.